You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Oh, happy Monday. Ooh, such a fun out of the gate intro today.
Just
got your coffee.
Felt like changing it up.
Bushy tail.
It came out that way, and I was like, yeah, just lean into it.
Whatever we feel in the moment, for sure.
That's what we're going to do today. Everything, we're just winging it. Everything is being wung, if that's a word.
It is being, well, I wung some stuff to a OneNote, so it won't be completely off the cuff.
All right.
I wish I had a steel trap brain like that, but no. No.
So, I had a few things I wanted to talk about up top, as I normally do.
I know. We love you. Get you caught up.
What do I want to talk about? You know what? Since we were already talking about, let's talk about, we're not going to go into great detail. We're not a political show, but Ukraine. It's a hell of a thing that's going on over there. I think we all kind of saw it coming, but based on what we're seeing this morning.
Yeah, I just hope it's true.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still waiting till I get some verified sources, but it sounds like they're giving them hell, and I hope you do.
Yeah.
I hope you do.
Because I'm so excited that it's happening this way, because if this does turn out to be the case, like everything we're kind of reading this morning, that maybe, they're giving too much of a fight, and Russia's like, okay, well, maybe we'll change our mind. Granted, I don't think they'll change their mind.
I just think it'll get more vicious.
Right.
But, yeah.
But maybe that will, give future dictators pause before you just decide, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take down.
Hey, people like their democracy when they have it and all that. It's just interesting that they enjoy being freer. Mm-hmm. It's a strange thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Heavy sarcasm. I hope people picked up on that.
So keep up the good work. Be safe, Ukrainians. I doubt anyone from the Ukraine listens to this, but if you know anyone who does, send them our love, and just, I really hope the best comes out of this in the end for the world, more for Ukraine, because
for those poor people, that
selfish little dictator. I've got a lot of choice words I'm not going to say because I might offend somebody, but
I don't even know if there's a word strong enough to describe the evil, really, for my brain.
Well,
it all seems too mild.
We can talk about that. I'll kind of, again, gradually graze over this, but, all the Republicans that are on his side can go get fucked.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of that, and it's so hard for me to believe most anything that's coming out when it comes out in droves like that. Like, is it someone sowing discourse? Are these people really people that believe that?
Doesn't matter.
It's
whether you believe it or not, you're tweeting it. You're sending your message out there that you support this. Go to hell is what you can do.
Yeah.
So, no.
Anyone who'd be putting out that sort of stuff. I mean, it takes all kinds. Every type walks among us, unfortunately. And, F you.
Yeah,
F you.
You can't sit there and argue that you're for democracy, for American freedom, and all this other BS, and then you go and you side with the enemy and everything that he's doing, which is so anti-American by definition. But it seems like now, I guess, treason is starting to become American because, hey, we've got them all over.
I feel like we're just in that point that we're going to take whatever side pisses off the other side, whether we feel convicted towards it or not. Like,
It's true.
It just feels like it's gotten that petty.
Mm-hmm.
That, well, if it's going to make the other side cry, I better tweet about it or, rub it in their faces or whatever they want to do. And they probably don't even understand half of what they're putting out there. But they just think someone's balling on the other side now.
Mm.
So I'm smart and clever. And woohoo.
Yeah. So, hey, we'll get off of it. I just wanted to talk about that. Wanted to kind of get a few little jabs in, like anyone cares. Anyway, hey, I wanted to bring this up last week, but I didn't because we had a guest, and I didn't want to.
And a lovely guest at that.
Yes, we
if
did.
you missed it, siblings, go check it out.
Yes, absolutely. Go check
Great
out his
stuff.
content. It's good stuff. But our good friend and guest, Troidel
Yes.
Power, sent us a nice little message. And, it's little things like that. He was just saying that we'd been on break for a while, and I'm just kind of TLDRing it. It wasn't a very long message, but I'm giving you the gist of it. But just saying how he was happy to have us back on, and, little things like that make your day.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Yeah. Even if it's just the one person that it's resonating with, then it's
and I'm
very sweet.
I'm not saying I want droves. Granted, it would be amazing if every listener was like, "Hey, I love your show. Hey, I love your
where
show."
we had so much to go through,
Yeah,
we just couldn't even be bothered to read it all.
Because you hear about that all the time. It's like, oh, we got mailbag. Oh, we got all this mail. Oh, what are we gonna do? Oh, I don't know. I can't read all
They
of it.
could be lying
they
too
could
to make themselves sound more popular.
Perhaps that's what we should start doing. We'll start doing mailbags.
We got so much mail last
did.
night. It's crazy. I don't think I'm going to be able to even read it all.
Yep.
I mean,
we had to start
outpouring.
throwing stuff away because we just didn't have room.
I'm leaving it on red. I don't know what to do. Yeah.
But, he's not the only one who messages us from time to time. Granted, we get our lovely friend, Dava. It's always
Yes.
giving us his insight every week, which, again, hey, we love. I love reading through that.
Yeah.
Even if I don't message something specific, Dava, just do know I do read it, and I love getting those messages, reading through everything you've got to say. It's just it's a treat.
Absolutely.
It's a treat.
Yeah.
So
Treat for us afterwards.
Sure.
But
again, I'm not trying to push anybody to send a message. I'm just saying if you got it in, it does make a day.
it does.
It does.
Yeah.
And I am going to push this while we're talking about it. In 3 weeks, we are going to hit our 200th episode.
Ooh.
Okay, so I ask you, siblings, if you would feel, and I'll even remind you on Twitter, if you'd like to say something about the show, now's the time. I would like to have a bundle, if possible, of comments. It doesn't have to be a long letter. If you want to write a letter, you can. If you want to just write cool, great. It doesn't matter. I'm not asking for one size or one length. It doesn't matter. But if you want to say something about the show and how you found it or why you listen, whatever it may be, in honor of our 200th episode, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to be able to read them out on the podcast that day that we get it. In 3 weeks, like I said, from today. So just think about it. Just think about it. Try to have them.
So the 14th or the 21st?
Let me pull up.
Let me see. So today's the 28th.
It'd be the 21st.
21st.
So for March 21st, if you have anything you want to say by March 20th, we'll give you to then. No, we'll give you to the 19th. I'm sorry, I gotta do the 19th. March 19th is your cutoff day.
He's got to edit and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably
Life.
do the 20th, but I mean, you'd have to be like really, really early. But I'm not gonna push that. So.
We're gamers. There's no such thing as super early. So yeah, let's just go with the Saturday. Yeah. Let's go with
March 19th.
You're gonna have all day.
And again, I'll tweet this out. Do little reminders here and there. Maybe I'll have just if I start spamming the same email, it's easier that way. You just kind of create one and just it's a reminder. That's what it's there for. So yeah, just a thought. If nobody does it, then fantastic. I'm not going to feel upset about it. I'm throwing it out there. I thought it would be fun. We were hitting a big milestone for us.
Big one.
So, yeah.
Now, how many of those was I on?
You have been on more than Todd.
What?
By this point.
Now overtaking him?
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
Listen, bro. He was technically only part of up to around 70-ish in that. And you had been around since the Spider-Man episode, which is in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, you've got at least
time flies.
150 under your belt, at least.
Look at this. I'm a pro now.
Yeah.
Where's my plaque?
I didn't buy one, but I'll think about it.
We need a Super Mega Crash Brothers 200 episode plaque.
Yeah.
Make our own. Hey, Podbean, do you
Yeah, that's another thing too. I've been debating on our platform because Podbean is cool and I don't want to throw anybody off, but that free Anchor thing, I'm not trying to plug anything, but it's free,
Isn't Podbean free?
No, not for me.
Oh, okay. See, all the things that he lets me just be ignorant on.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about
just dope, push a record button, write some words, and then I walk away.
I don't want to disrupt the flow of everything because I know swapping servers might change us here, and the thing is a thing, and whatever.
Don't we have our name saved on everything, though?
We do.
Who's taking Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo?
I think I'm more concerned, like, if someone is following on a platform. Now, granted, you can roll over your RSS feed, so that might be a thing that I can do. As long as it doesn't disrupt our listeners. That's what I don't want to do.
Sure.
I don't want you to be like, where's the new episode of Super
maybe that's something we need to find out. Where do our siblings like to go the most?
Well,
where do they go to, What is your favorite podcast listening application?
It's bizarre because I can't ever keep a track of it, because I get a graph that kind of gives me information and it varies. It varies from week to week sometimes. It's the oddest thing.
No one's consistent.
No.
Interesting.
And you'd think something like iTunes or Spotify.
Right.
Well, I guess
like the bigger ones.
Yeah, I guess Spotify is probably one of the bigger ones up there. But sometimes it's just like it says Google Chrome. And I'm like, what is that? I know what Google Chrome is. I just mean, what do you mean Google Chrome?
Maybe they're just listening to it from the link on the tweet. Because that'll open up in a browser.
True.
Maybe that's what it means.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know.
My guess.
Weird.
I don't know things.
200 episodes, 3 weeks, March 19th.
203.
Just think about it. Last two things I want to bring up real quick. One, I feel like we've talked about this, but it's been a while since the show has been on. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Do you watch it?
I started it.
And you didn't?
For some reason, it couldn't get me, man. I got about halfway through the first season, and I wanted to love it, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. The 4th season has started. And I'm just loving it.
It's its last one, right?
Is it?
I think I read that it was its last one. There's a few that's coming out this season as their last ones.
They haven't been promoting it that way, so I might have to do some digging.
I could be wrong. Like,
I didn't hear that.
We all know I read things and it doesn't necessarily stay in my head.
Well, I didn't hear that, but that doesn't mean it's not true. So I'll do some digging after the show just to be sure. Because they have not been promoting it that way. Let's put it that way. But it's such a good. I like the show. I got into it pretty quick, and it's just a delight. I think it is. And again, I hate that it didn't hook you immediately.
Yeah, it didn't hook me. Right, I tried. I wanted to. Everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the whole idea. I wanted to, and I don't know. If it was one of those, hey, you should have kept pushing. I'm like, I think giving half a season is very fair for you to set up a new story. 3 episodes is usually my rule for any new show. Give them about 3 because I got to tell you their story, set up the characters, and why you need to even care.
Right.
Takes a minute. You can't. Some shows can do it, of course, but yeah, it usually isn't right out of the gate where you're. I totally get this. This will be fun. But after that, I feel that's fair if you can't grip me after you've established what's happening here and it's not what you asked. Continue.
Yeah,
I was rambling.
No, but it's a shame. I hate that it didn't get you because I feel like it wasn't like I've never thought about that show being you got to get to a certain point. I know those shows where it's like, oh no, you got to pay, you got to push through. Which I really hate saying about a show because
I shouldn't have to push through anything.
No.
It should be a delight.
Yeah. And to me, this was a delight. It hooked me pretty early on. I heard everybody talking about it, and I thought, okay, I like the people behind it. I like the people I'm seeing in the show. I mean, there you go. And I fell in, and we binged the hell out of the first 2 or 3 seasons pretty quick.
Nice.
And then now we've been waiting for this one for what seems like an eternity.
Well, these shows these days, it's like a year apart. We don't even get a full season. Or maybe that's what a full season is now, 10, 13 episodes. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's
But to be fair, the production on all of these shows are much higher than they used to be back in the day. So I almost can kind of imagine for weekly, why they've gotten so much shorter. It's not sitcom 1 cam anymore.
And what's interesting about it too is sometimes I feel like I want the binge experience again, I just want to just drop all the episodes, just let me watch it at my own pace. And then at the same time, I appreciate them holding out, because
I actually like the weekly drops.
Yeah. It's interesting that we've all kind of regressed back to that, once Netflix did their binge thing, it's like, here, just take it all. And we're like, yes, episodes.
And you always wondered why you felt so empty and hollow by Sunday. When it was the whole binge was over. Yeah.
And now we're back to it's like, well, I actually do kind of keeping it simple, and I don't have to binge everything. Yeah. I mean, it really is nice not having to do that. You have the conversation. You get to absorb every episode and be like, oh man, that was such a good episode, or whatever. I do feel like Amazon has been dropping extra episodes because the first week we got 2, and then this week we got 2, which I was like,
I feel like some of them have been doing that. There's shows that I watch on HBO that do that.
Okay.
Where the first couple of the season they'll drop 2, and then you might get 1 a week after that, and then maybe 2 for the ender, so you get I don't know, maybe it's to fit it in a 4 to 6 week thing as opposed to I don't know TV anymore.
I don't either, but I guess it's kind of nice because you get to that point where you're just like, oh man, it's over. And then you think, well, I got to wait till next week. And then they're like, hey, psst, got you another episode right here. And then you're just like, another episode, give it here. And then you're just so excited.
Yeah, that you weren't expecting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun binging stuff or not. And one other thing that I watched that I have to recommend, I don't know if you like the comedian or not, I think it's hilarious. There is a Roy Wood special on Paramount Plus, if you have Paramount Plus, called Imperfect Messenger. And I think he's got a deal with Paramount, since Comedy Central and Paramount and blah, 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 blah. So that's why the special was kind of imprinted
That's
here.
A shame, though, because I do like him.
I've watched it twice over the course of the last 2 days, and I have laughed so hard both times. Now, granted, the first time, I was, I had taken an edible thing. So,
which might have helped it a little bit.
So, that might have enhanced my laughing.
Or at least put you in the right headspace ready for comedy.
Yeah, I was laughing pretty hard at just about everything that night. But then I watched it the next day without one, and I was still laughing pretty hard.
So still good.
Yeah, it was solid material. His running, you know how they always have that one little joke or that one little thing,
the running gag throughout.
Yeah, or I guess I wouldn't call it
or story.
More of a reference. He talks about people have the thing that they want to do, thing that makes them happy, and he calls it that's your crab leg, because it's like we're all wanting that one little piece, that one little piece of meat, and we sit there and we work through the shell until we get that one little sliver. It's like, oh my goodness, that's so good. It's like, that's your crab leg. So if that's what makes you happy, go get your crab leg.
Okay.
And
all right.
So that becomes like the thing that he talks about throughout, along with a few other things. But he circled it around nicely, because it's one of those comedy specials where he'll talk about something, and it goes so far in, and then it's almost like he turns back around and starts bringing the references back out to everything he hit on throughout.
Hey, that's good writing.
Oh yeah, it was
kind
solid.
of weaved a whole story throughout the set. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
So which is a good stand-up time for me. Like, I feel like once you start going into 90-minute territory with stand-up, you're pushing it.
It has to be pretty solid.
Yeah. I want an hour. That's good enough for me. That's a good set. 30 minutes. It's maybe you can get some of your good material out, but
yeah. But that's rough, though, to write that long of a special, because I can imagine when they're first starting, they're being told to write like tight 5s and 10s, where they have that's all they get. And I can imagine trying to put a whole special like that to be hilarious for a full hour.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're pros, but still, it's got to be tough. And he's hilarious. So.
Oh, yeah.
But my heart's a little broken because I don't plan on getting Paramount Plus for it, but maybe I'll catch some clips on the YouTubes.
If there might be one on there, because there was a bit that I remember seeing prior to this, and then when he started talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, I have seen this. So it might be on YouTube. But he was talking about, what was it? The unsung heroes of the Black movement. And he says it's actors who play racist Civil War.
Leonardo DiCaprio should get the biggest award for Django. Yeah. That set was great. So if that's what it's from, then I've at least seen that bit. Yeah, that was great.
At least it wasn't the best bit for me in the entire show.
For you, yeah.
It was still a funny bit, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I did see that clip, and it was very solid. It definitely a perspective I hadn't thought of, and it was very funny.
Yeah.
So you're right. Leo, I guess you get more accolades than you should. Or than you did, or whatever. Just for being willing.
So, like I said, I recommend it. Go check it out if you would, if you can. Get you like a free trial of Paramount. Lace. Free trials.
Maybe I could.
I'm sure there's.
But would it would be the one thing they say I have to pay for? Like when I was trying to find that one episode Bruce Campbell was on from AP Bio, and it was like, haha, the first 4 are free, but that 5th one you really want to watch, now you gotta give us money. I'm like, you know what?
But if it's a free trial. It's a free trial.
Or wait, no, that was NBC. That was Peacock. Yeah. See, I'm getting them all confused. There's too many.
It's Peacock. No, this is. I'm sure there's a free trial out there somewhere, and even if it's 7 days, hey, that's enough time for you to get in, get out. Just watch the show, and then I'm out. I'm good. I don't need all this.
Now that sounds like something I might look into.
Yeah. There's got to be. They were giving away free trials.
They got to reel me in somehow, right?
Right.
Right.
And see what they'll do is once they get you, and be like, hey, you want to watch it? I know you like this, but we're gonna offer this over here. And be like, oh man, I kind of do want to watch that. And it's like, I know you do. You watch it. And it was like, for this low price, we're gonna give this to you right now. And if you want,
I'm not gonna get sucked in.
For $20 more, we'll throw in Showtime.
I have Showtime. Ha!
But
so that will work on me.
But
for $20 more, boo Paramount, I pay $6 for it a month. So what's up?
$20 for an entire year.
I don't know where I give my money.
Hey, no, it's a great
for
deal.
The year.
For the year.
What do we have a sponsorship I'm unaware of?
No.
Buy Paramount?
I'm trying to get them to sponsor us.
Right now.
I'm trying to get them to sponsor us because here's what Paramount Plus did to me. Because I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I guess there's some stuff here maybe that I could possibly watch. I was hesitant. I was just like, I don't know, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, hey, for one whole year, $100. And I did the math. I was like, it's not a bad deal. You know, it's about what you pay overall. $100 for an entire year. Okay.
Yeah, most things want like $12-$15 a month. Yeah. So yeah.
So I was like, all right, sure, we'll do it. $100. There you go. Bam. And then of course, you know, you attach it to something, you get a little coupon, and be like, you can get some cash back. So that sounded good too. I was just looking at my head. I was like, yeah, this sounds like great. So I did that, and then be like, hey, got that Showtime. $20 extra right now, and you'll have it for the entire year. And I said, now, wait a minute. $20 extra for a year?
So one $20 bill for 12 months of Showtime.
Yeah.
One singular 20.
And I said, sign me up. There you go. There's my $20. Thank you. Because it made sense in my head. $14.99 a month like you do for HBO and even Showtime. Maybe on whatever you're paying on. But then it's like, no, $20 right now and you can have it for the whole year. Hey, there you go.
All right, I might go poke around.
Yeah.
But it would have to be maybe cheaper than one of the things I'm paying for now because I would swap.
And that's understandable.
I refuse to keep adding them because I already cannot remember where I'm watching what on.
It does get a little... Like, I've noticed...
I have no idea.
I've noticed... We will get to video games in a moment, people. I apologize. I have noticed that I watch, or I seem to gravitate towards HBO Max for whatever reason. Like,
I've been watching more of that recently, too. Yeah.
Like, if I'm looking for something, that's the first place I'll look. If I can't find anything there, then I'll go somewhere else. But for whatever reason, I do notice that's where I go.
I actually think they've just been putting out some much better, shows that I've been interested in. Mm-hmm. Lately, more so.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. There's just something about what I'm seeing over there that I want to watch, and other platforms have not necessarily caught my attention. And what's
funny is I get HBO free with my internet, so I don't even have to pay for it. So that's even better.
Okay.
And I didn't even realize it until they sent me the email going, "Hey, by the way, did you know you can get this free here?" And I went, "I did not." AT&T actually told me I could save money somewhere. Because really, you've been holding my Android tablet hostage. Because they won't let me cancel it unless I call. Mm-hmm. So they've been winning extra money for me every month for something I don't even use nor have. Yeah. Because they're forcing me to call. And I felt like just giving them $200 a month, or not a month, a year, has been more worth than 2 hours on the phone with you. And they know that, which is why they do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. They do this shit on purpose because they know people don't want to call. And they're just like...
I'm going to donate this $10 every month so I don't have to talk to you.
Okay.
Don't be like me, people.
What have you been playing? Get into the meetup.
Have been playing. We won't even say RimWorld anymore because that happens. But a little bit more Cyberpunk. I have to dive a little bit more into it because now, y'all siblings, I have a pretty beast of a PC now. It was a lot of tears and expletives. It's the first time I've done a full AMD build, and I'm not sure that all in all that should have been the biggest reason why this upgrade, I should say, it wasn't a full build, but this upgrade caused me more tears and pain than any build I've done in the past.
It did.
This would be, I guess if you want to say build, my 4th overall. So the first 3, I remember, it took about 2.5 hours to build. And then however long to, put in your operating system and just get the PC itself set up, fired up, and ready to go. Mm. And on I went. This thing took me about 3 to 4 days, over the span of 3 or 4 days, to figure out what the hell it wanted. So there's just enough differences between the two that looked different that was causing me confusion as I was building this. So it's done now. Thank God. I now have a beast of a machine. But just know, if you're like me and came off of an Intel and went straight to AMD, there are differences. And sometimes it caused me a little panic because it would make a noise I'm not used to. And I would instantly think, oh, I did something wrong.
Right.
Clearly. Why is my CPU fan firing up every time I open Firefox? I clearly did something wrong. Well, I read into it and it's totally normal. It's fine. Those are some of the differences between AMD and Intel. But that took a long time. I didn't think I'd be here today, guys. I thought for sure the PC was down. It was in pieces, collecting my tears on the floor. It was defeating me. I about took it to a micro center and just said, hey, make this run. And then I'll throw whatever money at you want. And then I'll come pick it up. And then it'll just be plug and play for me, hopefully. But I got through it.
Yeah.
I got through it. And I don't know that I'll ever do another build again. Like, it defeated me that bad. But I'm just saying, I got a 6900 XT now from AMD. I got the 5800 CPU from the Ryzen. Everything is so beautiful. When I loaded it up, you guys, I load up Cyberpunk. Now I'm using like 10% of my CPU, you know, and everything's just like butter. I turned everything up to 11. No stutters, no hiccups. I need to go find more. I need to go find more that I'm interested in. Then I go play RimWorld and I get a side eye from my husband. I'm like, I know this is not stressing my computer, but leave me alone. It needs a break. Or I do. Anyway, so that's really what I've been doing all week, was trying to get this damn computer together. But now that I do have it together, it's lovely. It's great. And good God in heaven, I better be done for a while. I should be very much able to keep up. And then just for internet points, because they had a sale, I got 32 gigs of RAM. Ain't no one need it. It was dumb. 16's fine. But it was the same price.
Yeah.
And I couldn't talk myself out of it. Because when I went into Micro Center, I knew I needed to get some new DDR4 RAM. Which, by the way, come to find out, I didn't. I don't even feel like getting into that whole thing, guys. Anyway, so $100. Sorry. That's usually how much it was for like 2 8s. And it was 220. But they had it on sale for 119. And I just couldn't come up with a good enough reason why I wouldn't just go ahead and get 32 gigs of RAM.
Right? If it's the same price, you always get the more.
I just thought, you know what? Why not? And then I should be set for when things start getting to the point where, you know, you'll actually need more than 16 and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's overshot. It's overblown. It's totally for internet points. But in a few years, maybe I'll be very happy for that purchase and the fact that it was so cheap. I just had to. So yeah, Cyberpunk on 11 looks glorious. I didn't have any hiccups, any problems. So yeah. I think the 1.5 update, the quality of life and everything to it, I'm enjoying. I'm just having a hard time making myself finish it again because the story didn't change. So that's the only downside, is trying to make myself play it all over again has been a little difficult just because I'm familiar with everything. But that was about it. Crying, trying to build my PC for most of the week, so I wasn't even able to game on it because it wasn't even operable. And then some Cyberpunk.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, most of my time has gone into the game we're talking about a little bit later, or I will be talking about later, Horizon Forbidden West. But I'm glad I kind of remembered this because it was something I wanted to talk about. And it is a game, technically, so don't think I'm trying to change anything, but it is something to go look at. Have you seen on Netflix the interactive movie or show Cat Burglar?
Not yet, oddly enough. I've played their other ones, and I hadn't seen this. Okay.
This is in the style, like, it made me think of Tom and Jerry.
Is it their interactive movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't even call it a movie. I'd say an interactive episode of something because it's so short. Probably about 15 minutes of your time. The animation style, like I said, it reminds me of Tom and Jerry, where it's that old school. I mean, if you told me I didn't do the I should have looked into it before I started talking about it, but I forgot. I'm busy. If they told me that the people who did Cuphead did this, I would be like, oh yeah, I can see that. I don't know if they did, because some of the animation styles also reminded me of like Ren and Stimpy, certain lip movements or, you know, just that certain little things that they used to do on that show. I could see here, and I'm like, but I'm not sure which way they were going. I don't know who's responsible. Could have been. I don't think it was the same guy like John Cristofalucci. I don't think he was even remotely involved. It could have just been someone he mentored or someone who learned under him, and they took that style. Don't know. Didn't do the homework. I just played the damn thing.
I just put it into my eyeballs, and then I walked away. Yeah.
It's very simple, very fun. If you got 15 minutes to kill, I would highly recommend it, especially if you like those old school cartoons, because it's not... I don't want to say it's graphic, like a kid couldn't play it, but it's like they toe that line to where, okay, we're doing that old school violence, but...
Right. Is it in the style of what used to be acceptable on Saturday morning cartoons?
And I think that's probably what it is.
Fine.
Yeah. I think it's... For me, I'm looking at it like they gave it a TV-14 rating. This is why I'm bringing it up, because I'm looking at it going...
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, we're going to get bare ass, or we're going to get like blood or something. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, this looks like the old cartoons.
But remember, that made us violent. We were constantly throwing anvils on each other's head and running off cliffs, so they had to stop that.
Sure. So I'm
surprised any kids survived through the 70s and 80s. I mean, really, with the cartoons we were watching.
I know. I mean, who would have thought? You know, you'd think I would have turned out a racist with all the, you know,
well, those were bad
and everything.
Even I look back on those and I'm like, ooh boy, oof. Even if it was quote unquote allowed, that's rough, guys. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what I'm kind of implying here is that at least it wasn't like, I remember when I would see that, it would always confuse me as a kid.
Like it didn't register in our brain yet what it was. Gearing for it. Yeah.
Like there were just times I was like, what's going on here?
I don't get the joke. Why is that supposed to be funny? Yeah.
And maybe that's good. Maybe my brain was just like, hey, don't laugh at that. You know better. And I just didn't know how to process it, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And
right. I don't know anybody who does things like that, so I don't understand the joke. Yeah.
So.
Anywho, back to games.
Yeah. But anyway, Cat Burglar.
Cat Burglar.
It's essentially the interactivity of it all is you have 3 lives. You're trying to you're the character, the Cat Burglar. I don't think he had any other name. You're just trying to get into this museum, steal this painting, and you'll be presented with, you know, various obstacles along the way. And I kind of thought it would be in the vein of something like Dragon's Lair, where you had to move a certain time or you had to hit a button at a certain time. Well, they give you a quiz, and they'll give you 3 questions, and it'll be something like, I'm trying to think of one. Like one of the earliest ones was like, name the star, and it would give you 2 names, and it could be like a genuine star, like the sun and the moon, and you're like, well, okay, the sun, and then the next one would be like Apollo and Sirius, and I'm like,
so you have to pay attention
and then
to what's being shown.
The last one might be something like George Clooney and a parrot. And you're like, a parrot, I guess, is not a star, so George Clooney. But
I hope
if you're not paying attention or you're not keen, because not all the questions will be just that easy. It's like sometimes they give you an easy one, and then other times it's like, well, you better be paying attention and really thinking on this one, because... You know, we're not just going to let you skate by this.
Yeah.
And if you die, then it resets. But beautifully, they don't reset you to the same thing. Because the very first time I died, like the character was trying to get into the museum a very specific way. And then when I died, when he came back, he was trying a different method. So they didn't just repeat what was going on. They said, no, let's, now that one failed. He's got to try something new. So it makes me...
So you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
So it makes me wonder...
Make it work.
How many variations of that are there in the the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't see anything.
I feel like the ones with Netflix like that tend to do that because I've done some of their other interactive movies, and if I died, thankfully, you never had to start all the way completely over.
Right.
And it might take you to the point where the decision would have caused you to die or not to make a different decision. But changing altogether,
And one of the deaths I had was a long burn of a death, which was just the funniest thing because I knew I'd screwed up, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna die. And this sequence just went on for about a minute, and I was like, am I gonna die anytime soon? And eventually I did. But it was how it all played out. I was like, wow, that was...
like they're going to punish me with this one. Yeah, cool.
So it was pretty good. So I would recommend it. Again, if you got Netflix.
Yeah.
I know they're charging more, the sons of bitches.
Oh, I'm still that horrible person that uses my nieces. Until I guess they kick me out.
Well, you're lucky. Because if anyone was using mine... I don't know how much longer I'm going to take these price hikes.
True.
You know.
Well, everything keeps doing it. Like even my Hulu went up and everything.
Amazon.
Like so she has my Hulu. Yeah. I have her Netflix. She has my HBO. I have her Apple. So we share.
But I mean, what's the line? You know, at what point? Because when I saw that with Netflix, I was pissed. And they're just like, it's only $2. I'm like, yeah, but... in 2 years, you're going to be jacking it up $2 more. And then a year after that, you're going to be... eventually, I'm going to be paying $30 for Netflix. I don't want to pay $30 for Netflix. Not a month.
Well, it's... yeah. Still better than cable, I guess.
I guess. But, I mean, hell, I might as well go back to cable by the time I'm done paying for all these streaming
services. That's why I
services.
refuse to keep getting all the new services.
But at least I've cut back. I canceled Apple once that free trial ended.
See, I can't go without the Ted Lasso, but I don't pay for it anyway. But I have to keep it.
No, you don't. You cancel it until Ted Lasso comes back. And then you watch Ted Lasso. Because that's what I'm going to do. I want to watch my Ted Lasso too. But I'm not watching it. I'm not watching the service, so it's just like it's a waste of money. I
really can't complain. I'm not paying for it at all.
You don't pay for anything.
My nieces.
Don't pay for anything.
I do too. I pay for my Hulu and other stuff, and then she has those too. We share back and forth.
Oh, okay. I see what it is. I see how it is.
She has my Hulu and my HBO. I have her Netflix and her Apple.
All right, well.
And we'll continue that way until the company has finally put the kibosh on it. Because you know it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen eventually.
They have to know, like, Louisiana, Illinois sign in daily. Like, she's not in both places.
They'll make you feel guilty one day. They'll be like, if you people would all be paying... Well, they'll try. That's what I'm saying. It'll be like, we wouldn't have to be making these, price hikes if people stopped sharing logins and everything.
It's still cheaper for me to pay her half then. Let's go, Netflix.
I know.
Let's go.
Well, hey, let's talk about some real news. What do we got?
Let's talk about some real news. So, we have a new rumor kind of floating around. But it's one I think everyone was kind of hoping was going to be the case, because I remember the murmurings around the time the acquisition happened. A Fallout New Vegas 2 is supposedly being very much a talking point over at the studios there. I'm sure you remember as soon as Microsoft got Bethesda and Obsidian and all that, they're like, does this mean? Well, maybe. So they did report it is in very early talks still over there. There have been talks over the years that people at Obsidian actually would have loved to have done a second game. So they were throwing out some ideas of what they thought it was going to be at. I mean, I feel like they would have to stay in the West. Maybe would it be a New Vegas 2? Would we have a new insert different city here? Since, the Fallouts are more East Coast, and then they were doing so that would be my guess.
Yeah.
Maybe, they own the East Coast and Obsidian will do the West Coast for it. But they did a great job. So if you're excited for it, keep an eye out. They're talking about it. They want to get it done. And with all of that, hopefully Microsoft money and everything, it'll be a nice, fun, immersive experience. that's as possibly bug free as possible. It's not necessarily Bethesda, so it could go either.
Yeah, but
it's not.
Fallout games
different team.
have the bugs.
Well, I mean, it was mostly Bethesda, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Because New Vegas is a different one. It was a different team. So they had, I guess, 3 and 4. Did they do 2? I want to say no, that they had just bought the name at that point, because 1 and 2 was a different team altogether also. But the first one was more very text-based. Anyway, I'm digressing. But yeah, let us know. Are you one of the ones excited for it? Because I think I would be. I enjoy those games, that universe, and then built maybe on today's engines.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a more upgraded engine that they would use for it, as opposed to the one that they've been using for the Fallout game. So it could be exciting.
Sure.
It could be very exciting with the console powers and everything that we have now. I can't wait to see how these games are going to start really taking shape. Again, I don't know how much better they could really start to get, but they are somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
It really is. It's a cool time to be alive in some regards. Technology, with technology, it's a fun time to be alive. And then we've been talking about some moves PlayStation's been doing. Where they're moving more into the Game Pass territory. I know we've kind of talked about their different tiered system that they were kind of tossing around internally. Well, it sounds like more moves towards that space is happening. So right now it's codenamed Spartacus for their online streaming gaming service. Spartacus. I know every time I was reading it, that's what played in my head. Spartacus. Took me a really long time to write this paragraph because of that. Which, yeah, so it's codenamed Spartacus with a launch targeted for next spring. That's the target date right now. So spring 2023. It'll allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee, as you already do, of course, to access a catalog of modern and classic games. So this is coming from people who technically aren't even authorized to be talking about it. So maybe with a grain of salt. I love that they're always talking to the people that aren't supposed to be. How do NDAs even work for you people if it's just this easy to be like, don't put my name in it? But I mentioned that if things change later on.
Sure.
Which it inevitably probably will. The offering should be on PS4 and, of course, PS5 when it launches in spring. And reportedly, the service will merge the two, which I know we had discussed before, because I remember reporting this about PlayStation Now and Plus getting just kind of merged into one thing. Plus is required currently for most online multiplayer games and free monthly games. PS Now allowed gamers to stream or download older games. So the combination of the two. There isn't a ton to go on yet, but reports indicate 3 tiers to the service, which is already kind of in place with Plus benefits, or you're already getting some of those from like tier 1. So tier 1 would be, I think, what you have now with PS Plus.
Probably,
you get your free games, or however many that comes out, and of course your access to online multiplayer and yada yada. The second would offer a large catalog of PS4 games also, and eventually PS5 games. So when I'm imagining more PS5 games just have to come out by next spring, we'll probably be a little bit more flush with some. And then the third tier would add extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic games from PS1, 2, 3, and PSP. So I'm wondering if it'll be kind of like the Nintendo service, where they're going to want a lot of extra money for their classic games. But I feel there's more to pull from with PlayStation, though.
Maybe
not overall.
Here's my prediction. Price-wise, okay?
Prices, yeah.
Because
that's still not a thing that I'm finding as of yet.
We're probably at about $59, $69, I think, right now. I feel like $59.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds right. For 60, let's just say 60-ish.
60 for whatever they might consider tier 1. $100 will be the highest tier. Bet.
Yeah, you're probably correct. Especially if they're going to offer that large of a catalog.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't said which ones from 1, 2, 3, and PSP. But you're probably right. I could imagine that being the case.
Because they'll argue, look at all you get. You know, $100. I mean, you can't beat that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, if they're completely transparent in what's coming out day one, especially, so you can judge the value for yourself, and then has a nice roadmap for things that they intend to add later on, because I would imagine they're not going to do all of them right out of the gate. They're going to want to try to keep tempting newer people to come in throughout its lifespan.
Sure.
So, yeah, so that's where we're sitting right now. So it does look like if you were waiting for a PlayStation version of quote unquote Game Pass, next spring we'll be looking at it. I'm sure all of your PlayStations will remind you. I'm sure they will throw you the ad some way on your splash screen. But we did get a look at the PSVR 2 headset. Yeah. So I was happy to see the Halo design sticking around. Siblings, you know that was the one thing I said. Please don't mess with that design. You had the most comfortable headset, in my opinion, to date so far. Yay. Thank you for listening, PlayStation. So, yeah. What do you think, siblings, if you've checked it out? I don't know if we have a lot of VR listeners, VRers, or if you got the PlayStation 5 even, if now VR is something you're thinking of looking into, since you do have the power for it. So yeah, it appears damn comfy. It kind of looks like the same headset. They do take on the shape a bit of the Orb controllers. So it all kind of looks, you could definitely tell there's a theme with the PlayStation 5. So you're going to match. They said in their blog post that they did pay attention to the feedback on the first headset. So yay, you could, I believe you could see that is the case. And the praises that came with it, and kept in mind. So other features that the headset will have: adjustable scope that places the scope area closer or further away from the face, which I believe had before, where you could kind of pull it out and in, which is good for especially people who wear glasses, because like VR headsets weren't really built for that sort of thing. And you could scratch your lenses on both, either the VR headset or your own glasses, wearing them inside the headset. So I think that's great. So you'll be familiar with it if you have the PSVR now. Placement of the stereo headphone jack also remained the same. So lots of things will be very familiar to you if you already owned the first iteration of PSVR. So the VR2 headset, they say they took comfort a few steps further even. I want to know how much more comfortable it could get. So adding features such as like a lens adjustment dial. So users have an additional option to match the lens distance between their eyes to optimize your view. Thank you for not getting rid of this. I'm looking at you, Meta or Oculus or whatever the hell you're calling yourself now. Getting rid of that? Come on. Jesus Christ. Anyway, this isn't a poop on Meta.
Hey, you're supposed to have robot eyes.
I always take the opportunity.
You're supposed to have robot eyes like him. We have the thing, and you can adjust your own robot eyes and make it happen.
All right? With all my friends. I look great. I mean, the getting rid of the IPD thing was the dumbest thing. I have very, very low, apparently, and didn't know until I started VRing. The original Oculus has the slider underneath, and mine was always far in. First time I did the Oculus 2, the Quest 2, the wireless one. Yeah, it was always a little blurry. And I'm wondering if that's why, because mine was so low on the scale that since it was supposed to be automatically adjusting. Anyway, I thought it was dumb to get rid of your own slider. Let me move it around till it looks clear for my eyeballs. Yeah. Thank you very much. Anyway, the design is also supposed to be a little slimmer, slight weight reduction even, which
nice.
Right, always a plus. And even with the added features such as a new built-in motor for the headset feedback. So adding more features, making it less heavy. Yay, science. They also integrated a new vent design for the PSVR 2 headset to help air out. You know how you used to get some fog, little when you got all sweaty? Yeah. This will help from that.
Nice. About time.
They're supposed to anyway, so we'll see. I know, yeah, this is one thing. You can't sit in them for too long, because if you start to sweat, like everything's dripping, your face is hot, your lenses are foggy, and you just have to walk away at that point. You've created so much heat that's trapped in there. So I can't wait to get my head in one, honestly, and see how it fares. So I'm loving the design so far, and I love the new controller look. Yeah. So far, it looks like they moved everything in the direction it should have. Honestly,
except
got rid of the things that didn't work.
Except
what?
Except that wire.
That cable. True. The corded.
And again, I'm sure there's cost saving measures in there somewhere, but that cable, my God. It's the one thing.
At least the cameras are on the headset now.
Yeah, no.
At least.
And I think that's what I need to see first, because I want to be excited about this. And I'm not taking a crap on the original PSVR. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been my personal experience with VR. I know there are better ones out there because I played them. I want to have something that's affordable for me. Right. I don't have the fancy, souped up PCs like Lace here.
I just have no responsibilities.
No, it's fine.
This is
fine.
This is why I work. But it's to feed my hobby.
In all honesty, though, I mean, like you said, that's your hobby. That's something that you put your time and money.
I do for myself.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's your crab leg. Okay.
That's my crab leg.
That's your crab leg. So I mean, I'm not going to take that away from you. That's what makes you happy. I personally like doing the VR thing, the PSVR thing. I've got to be in a mood for it. I want a VR headset that makes me want to just hop in there at any point in time. Everything looks good. Fair. The entire experience is just so insane. It's like, the hell with the real world. I'm going into the VR world. It doesn't feel like a chore to get in there. Again, no disrespect to the PlayStation VR, but it is a chore. I got to plug this shit in. I got to plug that in. I got to pop this in here, pop that over here. Got to do this. Got to adjust that. It's at least 5 to 10 minutes just to set up to play a game. And then, how long are you actually going to be in there? An hour?
45 minutes, an hour.
2 hours, tops. Because
if you don't get too sweaty.
Yeah, because, I mean, even if it's not sweaty, it just depends on what you're playing. And then how long you can sustain it. Because Resident Evil didn't make me sweaty. It made me dizzy and nauseous.
That's fair, yeah.
So I was like, all right, I can't do this. But I think
if they eliminate screen door effect, like if that can be eliminated to where I just can't even see it anymore, that'll help. And I think having the cameras on the headset will as well. Because a lot of getting sick of the PSVR 2 for me, after I finally got my VR legs, it takes a while to build up to that. Even when I first started VRing, I couldn't last more than 20, 30 minutes. I had to build up my stomach for it. Just like you did when you first got in a car.
Sure.
We all had to get used to it. But with how janky the tracking was my biggest issue, and why I couldn't sit in a PSVR for too long, because with the eye, if I didn't have it completely brightly lit and would turn to my back or something so it could track when I was doing other things, it would jank around so much trying to recalibrate on the fly or something. So I'm hoping this fixes that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
don't know about the cord. We can't do anything about that.
I mean, I'll give them a pass on it for now, but sooner or later you're gonna have to cut that cord. And I don't want it to be something that they whip out 2 or 3 years from now. It's like, well, we made a wireless one. Look at that.
That would be a poopy thing to do.
Yeah, don't do that.
I mean, they probably will.
Yeah, they will.
Well, I don't know. They didn't do different versions of the first one either. So maybe. Well, I don't know. I probably would have read it in there if there will be a way for it to eventually have the software to uncord it.
Let's hope they will be decent enough. But in the back of our heads, let's put a little tag on that and just be like, we'll come back to that. Because we know it's going to happen eventually. Whatever makes money. If it's affordable with the cord, great. And they've got to make their money. If it makes enough money, then you whip out the wireless version. Because you'll be like, well, all these people who aren't buying it, that's what they're holding out on. Here you go. $100 more. Yeah. Just wait for it.
Gosh.
Wait for it.
Just wait. Yeah, we'll see. But so far, everything I've seen from it and the improvements made, I approve. I approve. I feel like it's going in the right direction. Let's see here. What was the other one I had? So I guess the Activision Blizzard thing kind of doesn't want to completely go away. But this one, I mean, it's definitely dying down, like in the news cycle anyway. But seems the shareholders now are doing their own lawsuits.
Oh boy.
against Activision, by the way. So Kyle Watson was the first shareholder at Activision Blizzard to file a lawsuit, citing the company's sale plan as unfair towards the shareholders and designed specifically to hide the fact that the boards of directors is looking to procure, quote, significant and immediate benefits, unquote. Hide it, though?
When have they ever?
Were they hiding it? Anyway, we've been talking about the massive payouts the people who shouldn't will get. Bobby. But the lawsuits go on to claim the sale leads to a major conflict of interest, citing the deal isn't the best interest of shareholders other than the Activision Blizzard board of directors. He also included claims that Activision Blizzard failed to include all key info as part of its submission to the SEC, and that it is violating the Securities Exchange Act in doing so. Adding in the fact that there's $68.7 billion in play might have had a little something to do with it. Watson, who also wants damages if the deal actually goes through, because, you know, I think it's just fancy talk for we could have gotten more money out of this deal, but nobody fought for us for that money out of this deal. So another lawsuit, of course, popped up after Watson's by Shiva Stein, another shareholder. Brought up mostly the same complaints in theirs as well. If I were the betting kind, I bet this ain't the last of them that we'll see. So Microsoft, good luck with these headaches, because if the deal goes through, of course, FTC, we're still waiting on you, I guess, to be like, cool, you know, go ahead. You can own all the things now. But yeah, so shareholders are upset because their paydays aren't looking the same.
Well, what'd you expect getting into bed with these creeps to begin with?
Right? And sticking up for him for all that time. And then, it wasn't until it finally got too late where some of them started going, hey, this is gross and blah, blah, blah. I mean, who knows how much they even know? I mean, it's probably easy for me to sit here and be like, well, either way.
But if you they probably sit back and you don't do anything after all this time, that's all I'm going to say. I mean, you made your bed. Sleep in it.
Right. I'm sure you're still going to live your life comfortably. I don't know. Every time I see millionaires complain about getting more money, it's hard for me to care.
Yeah.
Or really, even if you're in the right, I don't really care. So before I move on to some quick hits, though, I do have some other news here. We were talking about it at the top of the show with the outpouring of support that we've been seeing from certain towards Ukraine. And our heart does go out there. And the reason why I'm bringing it up here is we have a lot of gaming companies that are donating a lot of proceeds towards Ukrainian Red Cross and humanitarian efforts on the ground. So maybe I'll rattle off a game that you've been waiting to pull the trigger on and can buy it now and know that your money is going to humanitarian efforts on the ground there. So there's been some studios affected, of course, as well. So definitely pay attention to that. If you're not aware, a lot of these indie teams that I play games with and everything are out of Poland and in those areas right now that are being affected as well. So CD Projekt Red and basically all of GOG is donating or has donated money. 1 million Poland zloty. Now I looked it up. So $243,081 US. It in words that I can understand. 11-Bit Studios is donating all of their profits from this War of Mine, which I know you've heard me talk about on this show before. It is a really great game. So they issued a statement that all of their purchases of this War of Mine and all of its DLCs and profits will go to the Ukrainian Red Cross from, I think they said February 24th through March 3rd. So go buy all those if you want. They also have Bungie is donating 100% of proceeds of the game, the first 48 hours of their Game to Give drive. I don't know why I was having a hard time reading my own writing there, to humanitarian aid. There was also, I jumped around, sorry, but there was quite a few more. I know that 11-Bit Studios was the one that I saw is donating 100%. Bungie is donating 100% for their Game to Give. Yeah, you can look at a lot of those. Be mindful too. It looks like Frogware Studios, who's the developing team behind a lot of those Sherlock games that have been going out. They're based in Ukraine. So be mindful and patient with them, because I know I was reading on their Twitter that they were building up for some other stuff as well. If you were wondering, no. Same with the people who are doing the RimWorld port for the Steam Deck. Lives in Ukraine. So just be mindful with a lot of these indie teams that we play, or at least I do, I realize, play a lot of games from developing teams that are over in that side of the world. So yeah, if you were looking at some of these games, they're over on GOG, CD Projekt Red from 11-Bit Studios. I would encourage now would be a great time to buy, and they're fantastic games.
Sure.
So that'll be all I'll say about that. But you can definitely check out most of their Twitters, because we've been seeing a lot joining in, willing to donate proceeds for full week or 2 weeks or whatever. But now on to some quick hits. All right. Let's see here. Call of Duty's actually going to take a break for a year. Woo.
Oh, wow. Finally? What happened?
I know, which is fine. They've turned one out every year. So basically no new COD for 2023. The one they're working on now, totally still on track. Apparently you'll still get that. And they'll just support this next one for 2 years. Woo!
Woo! Like they should have been doing. Woo! And what, so while we're talking about that, I've got to ask. So if there's any listeners out there who can explain this to me, because this seemed to be the oddest thing. They dropped some DLC this past week, and it doesn't seem to line up. There's something about it just doesn't, like when you see horror characters being introduced to Mortal Kombat, that makes sense. You're just like, yeah, it fits.
I could see those universes coexisting. Yeah.
Attack on Titan characters in Call of Duty just doesn't quite add up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about an anime, we're talking about guns and pew 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 and war.
Right.
It's just, you see.
I don't know. Whatever makes it tomfoolery, I guess, and enough fun to keep you interested. Probably for that reason alone. Like, I'm running around beating him up as this character.
Sure. I mean, whatever. It might work. The parallels, it just doesn't.
Yeah, a little immersion breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this will be the first year since 2004. They haven't churned a new one out. So, yeah.
That's insane. That is insane.
I mean, they are kind of going through that whole acquisition and everything now. So there's probably like reasons to chill for a minute and kind of get your ducks in a row. But the fact that last year's Call of Duty Vanguard failed to meet expectations is probably also a good reason, leading them to maybe we are turning these out too quickly. But they do have an exciting slate of premium and free-to-play Call of Duty experiences for this year, next year and beyond. So we look forward to seeing more, I guess, for those who are into it. So GG, I don't know. You get a whole extra year on your $70 this time, or however much they are. I just assume that's the going rate now. Happy Elden Ring release week. Yeah. I've been seeing lots of people diving in, and heck, even got a text from an old friend that I haven't heard from in a really long time, sending me a picture of the box going, I hope this is good, so I guess I'm still his only gaming friend after all this time.
Random.
I just hadn't heard from him forever. We used to work together anyway. People have been loving it. I've been seeing lots of great things. Especially if you're the type that loves, just stupid, punishingly hard games. Congratulations, because I've heard it's harder even than the Souls games.
Oh my God.
So I mean, if I look, that doesn't sound like a relaxing good time to me. But again, I've always said if everybody liked the same type of thing, the world would be pretty damn dull. But there was a couple of issues performance-wise that I had been reading about. Seemed to affect PC gamers a little bit more on this one than the console ones. I'm sure it's just updates. So Bandai Namco confirmed one fix is on the way for PS5 owners that were prevented from saves going through. Your saves in a punishingly hard game. Could you imagine a From Software game with no saves? I'm just going to leave that there. Big Nintendo long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't this hard. But anyway, long story short, if a PS5 player was powering off their console for the night, assuming an autosave will have them covered, you might have been wrong. So the game does not necessarily create a save when the console shuts off. Rest mode apparently was fine for some people, but powering it off all the way down was the issue. So I guess make sure it's saved. I don't know how it works in the game. Do you get to just save? I feel it's only auto saves.
Probably.
So I guess if you're playing it and that update hasn't been pushed for you, I guess rest mode. I hate to say that. Especially if you're green, you want to be, but you just keep it running. But that was the only thing that I had seen, was just a couple of performance issues that seemed to plague more people after the day one patch. But that was it. That was the only real negative thing. And it didn't seem like it was really keeping people from playing. That I knew.
I mean, the only thing keeping me from playing is Souls difficulty.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't need to be that mad. I get that mad at regular things. I don't need it in my games.
I don't either. I don't.
Not
like
knocking
you said,
people who love them. It's just my God.
Their
I get so
crab
salty.
leg.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Get your tiny fork and you go in there, baby.
I can't do it anymore.
No, it's not for me. That's okay though. But so yeah, just be careful, I guess. And they are, I some of the things I was reading too. I guess those developing teams aren't the best for constantly pushing out patches. So we'll see. I hope so. This is super quick because there's really nothing more to say about it than this. Street Fighter 6. Did you see that quick little cinematic trailer and new logo? And everyone looks all broad and beefy. And
I guess.
Yeah. So there you go. That's coming. That was all there was I think 30 seconds of them fixing themselves up for a fight.
I haven't been excited for a Street Fighter game since the 90s.
It's true.
I'm sorry. It just...
It's yeah, well, there you go. If you didn't know, you could go spend 30 seconds watching a cinematic trailer. It's literally all it is. A little cinematic, a logo, and that's it. It told us nothing more. So technically the Steam Deck released on February 25th. I didn't get my email, but I wasn't a day one sign up, so that makes sense. So again, I just want to remind, because this didn't seem to be extremely easy to find on there, but if you reserved one, check your emails. You have 72 hours to respond to that email, before you're released from your spot in line, and they will move on. So just keep that in mind. They've stated that they'll be going in smaller batches every Monday now till, I guess, they've either been fulfilled. I was seeing possibly through April. So if you didn't get one on the 25th, keep checking, I guess, every Monday is what it's sounding like the schedule will be. So if yours, like mine says Q2, I was ready. So I'm probably getting mine in March or April.
Okay. If
yours said it was supposed to be ready in Q1, I would expect it, I guess, anytime between the 25th and then. So keep checking on Mondays. So good news, Valve won't send you an invite until your unit's actually ready for purchase or to ship. So at least there's that. You when you've purchased it, they have the unit and they're not just, leading you on Walmart. So congrats to those who were able to get it on the 25th. And I'm going to start poking around on some reviews and stuff here, because if it does end up being garbage, sounds like I got a couple months to just cancel that.
I feel like I've been hearing good things, though. But...
I have been too, and I have been too. Which is really weird. Because, again, I have always been a little sus. Valve doesn't tend to keep their hardware up for very long, So that's why I was little sus of this. But if it works out this good, and the fact that you'll be able to use Linux and all of that, like, I can't wait to see what people end up using it for.
And they will.
Because it's not going to be just gaming. They're going to find some really creative uses for it. And that's what I'll be excited to see over the next few months, is the different creative ways people are using it. And then I think that's it. This last one, I don't even know why I wrote it down. Now that I'm reading, it's not interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, not interesting. Sometimes I do that where I'm like, that sounds like it would have been. And then it looks like I probably stopped because I lost interest in it and forgot to delete it. So we'll just say that was my last quick hit.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot of huge news going on this week, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just kind of get caught up on some of it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
So over to you.
Woo! Okay.
Over to Steven.
So I normally, when I do these reviews, I like to write a lot of stuff down. This week was a little crazy for me, so I didn't kind of have the time to do what I normally do. So I just made some bullet points. I made some notes. So if it doesn't feel very concise and put together like my normal reviews, I apologize. I just didn't have the time.
It's a long week.
Yeah, I've not even done my Japanese studies in the last 2 days, and shame on me for that. I was doing so good, and now I've fallen
you're
behind.
allowed. You're allowed.
I know.
Yeah, you had some stuff to do.
They make me feel guilty. They sit there and be like, "You're falling down the leaderboard," and I'm like, "I didn't know this is a competition. Damn it!"
That's why you turn off notifications.
Yeah. I just want to learn Japanese, and I'm doing really good. Okay,
you get it.
Before I get into it, I'll just explain to you where I feel like I am. Like, I feel confident in saying this to you. I can read good percent of the Japanese that is presented to me. The kanji characters are the only thing that I would say that I'm still learning.
Oh, I feel like that'll be the most difficult part, right? Is being able to see that and then articulate the word.
Yeah, well, surprisingly, to some degree, not necessarily, because when I started seeing them, I was like, I'm never going to get this. This is ridiculous. There's just
because
too many.
Even one little line on something can make the whole thing different, and that's where I would get nervous.
But for me, there are, like, I'm finding, and maybe this is how they learn to learn Japanese, I guess, like normally. Over there, kind of like English for us. But I'm finding ways to look at it and have like a memory, something that identifies it. And they even kind of present it that way. It's like, hey, this looks like a guy running through a forest, or this looks like this or that.
Or like when we look at the stars and say, sure, that's Orion with a,
Right. So, I mean, I haven't necessarily done it like I guess I should have. Like, anytime they're like, hey, this looks like this, associate it with that. I don't. I just look at it and be like, and then I'm finding ways to associate certain things in my own head to where I remember it. Some I remember, some I look at and I'm just like, I know I should know what this is. Hell, some of the other characters that I'm doing, like the hiragana and katakana, I'll look at and I know what that is. I know that I've studied it, and I'm sitting there looking at it going, why can I not remember which letter this is associated with? And I just draw a blank, and it makes me angry, and I'm just like, I know what this is.
And then once you're angry, you probably aren't going to be able to remember it as fast now anyway, because your brain's seized up from being a little angry.
But what's interesting about it is, like, I've actually found, luckily, and I'm happy about this, I found a Japanese friend on the app. So he will, anytime I have to write something out, he will correct me. And I want someone who's going to be honest with me.
Do they speak English too?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So at least, like, I think one of the last things I did is, like, I just wrote the sentence, I go to work. And I didn't know the word for work. So I was like, I'm going to have to just fill this out a little bit. And I found, like, in some cases, there's work and then there's work. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about the verb work? Or are you talking about your actual employment of work?
Oh, yeah.
So I lifted one, and apparently I picked the wrong one. But I didn't know.
Sure. I mean, you're learning now.
Yeah. And he was just like, he asked, he's like, do you mean going to work or the place you do work? And I was like, the place I work. And he's like, okay, so you need this word instead. I was like, okay, thank you. And I need that. You know, I need someone to be upfront and honest with me, because that's my biggest
Well, that's what a teacher would have done. You would hope, if you were in a class.
And that's what I try to do, too, when I see other people doing English. Because I even get kind of worried about that. Like, I'll listen to them say something, like when people actually record their voice, and it's really broken English. And I want to help them. I want to correct them. But I have a hard time trying to figure out what to say. Not that I want to be hateful, but I'm trying to think of how can I be critical and not make it come off like I'm...
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not trying to be
being a jerk about them not speaking perfect English. Yeah.
So I'm always trying to think about that before I say something. Like, one thing I always do is if I've got a criticism about anybody's, I do kind of I'm like, keep up the good work. You know, you're doing great. You
got this.
You know, but you just need to adjust this or that, and just remember this. But keep up the good work. You're doing great. You know, I always try to do something like that, and that's what I kind of would appreciate on mine. If I'm doing it wrong, tell me. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, you got this," and then I've screwed something up. No, tell me, point blank. Tell me this is wrong. And the point I was trying to make is that I feel like I can read Japanese, but when it comes, like, if you told me to tell you something right now in Japanese, no matter how simple the sentence would be, my brain just shuts off. It's like, nope.
Well, it's not second nature yet.
Because I understand the structures. I understand the sentence structures. I understand how it's all going down. Like, I can look at a sentence and I'd be like, kind of like probably not the best way to read a Japanese sentence, or any sentence for that matter, where you're just picking out words and you're like, I got the gist of it. But
I mean, speed readers do the same thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, you're kind of trained to look at things in blocks of texts, as opposed to each individual word. So, but maybe for learning, maybe not yet. So you can know what all those other words are. But probably once you've learned it, it's whatever. Yeah.
And I feel like I do that on occasion, and I don't mean to, because I like to try and make sure that I'm understanding everything, that I'm getting everything. But if you were out in the wild, that would probably help you. Yeah. Oh yeah. You'd get by. Yeah. And it's speaking it, you know, it's speaking the language that I do not feel comfortable with. Like, they even have moments where they'll sit there and say, repeat this sentence. I can do that. But if they're just like, well, now it's your turn, tell us what you do. And I'm like, no. Yeah. Of course. I don't know what to say. It's like I shut down. They can tell me what the sentence is, and I shut down. I'm just like, I don't know how to say that. Even though I've been saying it for the last 2 or 3 times in the lesson. Now you want me to do that. I think you're just being too hard on yourself. I think this is a natural part of the learning process. I guess. I feel like I need to be in a situation where it's a difficult language. It is. But and you haven't been at it that long. So I think you're that's another thing I've got to get in the back of my head, is I keep thinking, oh man, I should be so much farther. I really shouldn't, technically. You're probably so much further than you think you are. Yeah, maybe. I mean, my lesson plan is for 2 years, and I feel like I'm ahead of where I'm supposed to be in relation to, because I don't know how many weeks it's been now, but if they say 1 lesson a day, and I'm in lesson 70 some odd, then I've been... Couple months. Yeah. A little over, yeah. And shoving it down. Anyway, I'll get there. Horizon Zero Dawn, or Horizon Forbidden West. Forbidden West, That's what it's called. And I'm going to do my best to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because this may be a PlayStation Studios game. Yes. Or with their little logo on it and fancy pants and all that. And Guerrilla Games has done a phenomenal job continuing this legacy, but it's not flawless, people. You know, and I say not flawless in the sense of you could have taken a little bit extra time to give this game a bit of a polish.
Really?
Because I ran into a few things that just made me go, this is what you came out and gave me? Because I was a little disappointed overall, you know? I mean, first of all, if you've seen the footage, if you've seen the game footage, you've seen what the game looks like. It looks like the original game did. It's gorgeous. You know, there's all these vast landscapes and intricate machines, and everything just looks like the world is the world it used to be, but now it's trying to get back to nature, whatever you want to call it. If you don't know the story, mind you, there will be spoilers to the original game. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a little hard not to talk about this game without knowing what happened in the last game.
Sure, yeah.
But I will not spoil anything that I am aware of here, because there was one or two things that they didn't share in the trailer. That something happened early on in the game. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm intrigued to see where the story goes. Also, keep in mind, I have not beaten the game. I have a life. Okay?
Hey!
I can't play this game in a week and hope to beat it, you know, and that's not how I play games. I don't have the time. But I have played quite a bit, so it's not like I'm just going to be like, well, I just played the first 5 minutes, and oh my god, let me tell you.
Yeah, this is garbage.
No, I played hours upon hours, so I've gotten a good feel of the game.
Yeah.
So, let's start here. Okay, so this may seem like a negative. As I said, the game looks gorgeous. Okay, looks fantastic. But there's nothing about the game that, to me, screams PlayStation 5. You know?
Like they didn't really utilize the strength of it to its potential?
Okay. Because, with the exception of load screens, we were talking about that last week where people were saying, where's a load screen?
Non-existent. Yeah.
Okay, I did come across a load screen, but that was from fast travel. And, in saying that, we're talking like a split second that it's there.
I still didn't get to read the hints?
No, I can. This apparently is what they added in. It just gives you the button down at the bottom that says hit, X to continue or whatever.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Because I was wondering too. I was like, so what's the problem? I said, there's a hint right here. And then I looked down and it's been waiting on me to hit continue. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah.
I do that in a lot of games, unfortunately, where I'm like, well, you were waiting on me.
But it's literally, it takes no time at all. Like a split second. Like it'll come up. And then maybe 3 to 5 seconds tops before it says press X to continue. But beyond that, it's ready to go. As soon as you get up there, and I'm like, all right.
Love it.
Yeah. So the load times are, that would be the most PlayStation 5 element of the game that I've come across. Like no load times whatsoever. Fan-freaking-tastic. I'm all over it.
Fast travel's actually fast.
Yeah. But the game itself, it doesn't give me any kind of indication that it's a PlayStation 5 game. And this did release on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and maybe there might be differences that I'm not seeing. Maybe someone can do a comparison video. But if we're talking like skin textures and fibers in the clothes and, oh, look at the little details. Okay, but it's not mind-blowing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Well, we've said that a while. Like, are we going to be able to have mind-blowing anymore because they've looked so good for so long? I think. But I think games have looked good for a while.
But I do feel like we've had PlayStation 5 only games. Ratchet and Clank. When that came out.
Returnal.
Oh my God, Returnal. Let's stick with Ratchet.
Can you tell differences you think in those? Have you played those?
With Ratchet and Clank, absolutely. I mean, there was just a fluidity about it. It felt so tight. It felt so fluid. Graphically, there was just something about it where it just seemed crisp, detailed. Okay. Just even like the reflections of water, Clank's metal finish, I guess. It's so reflective and everything like that. There's reflection or, I guess, glare and stuff on our armors and stuff like that, but I've not seen anything that makes me go, next gen, PlayStation 5, look at the ray tracing, oh my god.
Sure. Okay.
That level of detail. None of the detail here seems next gen. It seems like, yeah, we're pushing the limits of the PlayStation 4, and we're good. That's where I'm at with it. That's what it feels like to me. I'm going to have to see genuine comparisons for me to change.
There might be, too. We need to actively look it out, I'm sure. People love to do those side-by-sides.
I'm almost positive IGN did one, and I may go and look at it. Because
I feel like they always do, too,
yeah. So, again, I'm not trying to knock it. It does look fantastic. It just doesn't scream 5.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's lacking some element that just feels like it would have pushed it over the edge to make it go, all right, I can see that next gen polish on it.
Do you think that it's still falling victim to the fact it has to release on both?
Yeah, I really do, because this would have been built on a PlayStation 4 engine, upgraded to a PlayStation 5, so you're limiting what you're capable of doing because you have to make sure it's going to work on this hardware, not that hardware. Right. And this would be one of the situations where I feel like the game is going to not benefit as much. Now, if they do, well, I can't even imagine DLC that would be PlayStation 5 only. I mean, you'd have to do like a separate side quest or something like that.
I don't know that you could.
No.
Well, I mean, you can if you're willing to listen to all of the whining.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm whining. Yeah, I mean, it's just...
No. I'm saying if they were to do that, oh my God, the backlash.
Okay.
What do you mean? Sure. I don't get it, too. You know? Yeah, and those people you'd be dealing with. And kind of fair.
And it's understandable, too, right now, at this moment in time, to understand why the game came out on both platforms. When everybody who wants a PlayStation 5 cannot get a PlayStation 5. Who would have thought
the supply issues would still be this far out, honestly.
I know. It's surprising to me to even think that I have one. Like, how did I luck out? You know?
Right. With my luck in this world?
Yeah. So, anyway, outside of that, you know, it's a gorgeous game. Whatever. Playstyle, if you're very familiar with the playstyle of the game itself, it's very familiar to the original. I don't feel like that there's anything unique or new that they've added.
They didn't implement anything new, like a new feature for combat, or?
If they have, now I do know that there is, how would you call them? I hate to say special move, but that's what we're going to use.
Okay.
So, in your skill tree, like most games like these, you have your skill tree, and you can build your stats. So you're stronger here, and you've got about 6 or 7 options. You can either build your strength, you like your melee weapons. You can build your traps, how well you control the machines, and so on and so forth. So, you know, typical stuff for the game that they're going to break down.
Like the RPG points you would allocate or something.
And then it's like, well, what are you going to build? Are you going to build your combat skills? You're going to build your machine skills? You're going to build your infiltrator skills, so you're stealthy? What are you going to build? And it can be anything. Now, within these, they have like these branching trees where they have like one special move that you can activate. And they call it, I think it's your Valor. For some reason, I keep attaching it to one thing, but that might just be what it's called. So say you upgrade your Valor, and you can upgrade it up to 3 different times. So you have like Valor level 1, 2, 3, and then of course it gets stronger. So like one I've got equipped right now, if I activate it, my melee attacks get stronger. So I can really get in there and tear up a machine if I need to, or an enemy. And like most games like this, if you have those little bars and you use it, then you have to build it back up. And then it's built back up over time. Like you get hit, or maybe you just, however many times you hit something or whatever, and then it'll eventually build up. And then, you got your Valor, go use it again.
Okay.
each skill tree has a different skill. I've kind of avoided these because I don't normally see myself using them. I want to get my base level stuff built up first, and then I'll worry about the special moves. So if you can equip more than one at a time, I don't know. Because I've only unlocked the one, because I was like, well, let's try it and see what it is, and then we'll worry about the... And then since, again, I don't use it, it's very simple to use, I just don't think about it in the moment. You know what I mean?
Sure,
it's just like hitting a button,
That's kind of me. With most of those games, I'll forget that I've collected those new moves and I'm just recycling my other ones. But still getting through fine, I guess.
Well, and that's maybe part of the problem here is there seem to be so many moves that sometimes it's a little difficult to know what you're doing or how to work that out within combat or even think about it in combat. For example,
like making it a combo?
Right.
Okay.
So there was a move that I've seen, and I know I have done it, but I couldn't tell you how I did it. But I know that it's meant to be a move that will help you in combat. And it's like a attack. You jump in the air, and in that moment, you can whip out your bow and start kind of putting out a barrage of arrows on your enemy because you're out of sight, or you're kind of got the high ground, if you will. And that's what you're supposed to do. Well, I've gone up in the air and completely forgotten about whipping out my bow because I'm just like, I'm in the heat of the moment, attacking, and then I just go flying up in the air. I'm like, woo, okay, I'm free. And
enjoy it, yeah.
So I never think about it in the moment. Another thing that I've tried to keep myself aware of as far as combat goes is you have like shield breakers with your combat. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then you do kind of a charged hit, and then it's meant to anybody who's got a shield or something like that where they're blocking your moves, break it loose, possibly break it off their armor, whatever, kind of break through. We've seen that in games. The shield breaker move or whatever.
You time it out, right?
Right. So she has that move, and it's something I've tried to maintain some idea of in my head because I know I'm going to need it. But then there's another move called your resonator, and you can do this move. You have to build up a charge, which I guess you can see in your staff, which again I don't think about, and then I'll notice it and be like, oh yeah, that's the thing. So you do this combo hit, and then suddenly, if you do it just right, this little blue mark will show up on your enemy, and that's almost like a sweet spot. So if that happens, that's your resonator attack. Then you can whip out your bow and arrow and shoot, and then that will just be like a super hit. You know, suddenly they're blowing up, and you're like, oh my god. Or it can work on your enemies like the machines too, so that definitely comes in handy. It's the process of getting there that it's not hard. It's just remembering how
because it has to do a certain step process. Yeah,
because you have to. It's pretty much like hit, charge, hit, boom, and then, but it's got to be charged up. Like your staff's got to be charged up a certain way.
Oh man, that sounds like I would miss it all the time.
Yeah. So I'm sure people are out there who have the memory to. There was a time I could tell you I could play Mortal Kombat with someone and I knew every
I was thinking of that the whole time you were saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, I could never remember all them combos that they would bring up on those either. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. But see, there used to be a time I could retain all that. Right now, it's just I'm trying to do my best to remember a few things and still try to fight. So it's great stuff, and there are ways to practice. Like there are pits, like fighter pits or whatever, that you can now come into contact with, where you can practice your moves, which helps. So if you need that practice, it's fantastic. I like doing that. Although I will say this is another part of the problem that I'm starting to see. Maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like there's a glitch in the game that's preventing certain quests that I have done that I know I have completed from completing. For example, like that, the very first pit that I fought in, there were 3 different challenges that you had to go through. I had to unlock certain skills to get said challenges to even be available, which I did. I go back, I finish all their challenges. I've got check marks for everything, top scores. And yet the quest remains open. It tells me to talk to the pitmaster. I've talked to the pitmaster. He's like, hey, you want to go again? No, I want the quest to be done. And it doesn't finish. So I'm just like, all right. Then they have hunting grounds, which are a place that you can go within the areas, which I also remember these from the first game, where you have hunters or a tribe nearby, but then they have this big setup with a few machines, and it's pretty much to train you on how to do certain moves or certain skills, and you have to defeat the machines a certain way under a certain time limit, and then of course that'll give you top marks.
Oh yeah.
And same deal here. I've completed them. I've finished. They say go talk to the head person of the hunting grounds, and you want to go again? No. I want this quest to be over.
I want my damn reward.
Yeah. Now I've gotten rewards, but I just don't know if there's a reason it's not completing, because everything else, you look at the quest.
So is it legitimately showing it as still ongoing?
Yeah. So it'll tell, like if I activate the quest, it'll tell me to go talk to whoever the head person is, and then they'll just be like,
are you sure it's not a rotating one where you can just keep doing it?
I mean, I'm sure I could.
Still would show you complete at some point,
I feel like
I would think.
Should show that I'm done with that quest, but if I wanted to go back there, I can.
Sure.
And I can still activate it, but at least say my quest is over. Because I don't want it to be showing as like a trophy thing where it's like, finish all your side quests. Well, I did. And you're not activating it because it doesn't have a check mark beside it. So,
boo.
I don't know that for certain. But that's where I'm concerned right now, because that's what I'm thinking, is that it's not going to show these as complete, even though I have finished them.
Okay.
Maybe not. We'll see. That's just where my head's at.
Right.
But
we've been burned by enough AAA that we kind of go, it's a bug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, even things like that, like the hunting grounds and stuff like that, it can really work on your combat skills, which, again, maybe that's what I need to do more of, because the last hunting ground that I did encounter, they taught me a very interesting technique, which I have then since used to my advantage, where this game, I'm sure you've seen in the promotional materials, the shield wing glider. I made sure to write down the proper name for it, where you're pretty much like the leaf from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So now you get to float around and stuff like that, which, not original, but hey, it's cool for this.
It's a new thing.
Yeah, it's a new thing for this game. In the hunting ground, they taught me a technique where if you float over an enemy, you can attack them from above. So like a stealth attack.
If you remember to hit the buttons, right?
If you remember to hit the button. But you also have to be like right over top of them, because you can't, like if you're skating by their head, like
they
barely,
see you?
then you're screwed. So it's got to be very precise on where you do it. But again, it was a nice stealth technique that I was unaware of, and I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I can do this. And I got pretty good at it, in this little training ground, because you can just go up top and just jump on top of them. Rah! I can be the panther. So it's pretty cool. So fun little challenges like that I've appreciated. There was even a racing challenge that came about, which I was like,
I don't like those.
Yeah, I was just like, do I really want racing in my Breath of the Wild game? Another thing that they have too,
or your Forbidden West game.
Forbidden West game. That's what I meant to say. I was thinking Breath of the Wild.
I was like, why are you playing that now? Wait,
because the parallels with the shield wing. It's still in my head. Yeah. Oh, another thing parallel that they have added into this game, which seems to be a common trope now, is the requisite chess game that we all have to play now. Where someone in a town has this awesome little board game they want you to come play.
Oh, okay.
And you'll be like, hey,
their Gwent.
You ever played this game? Well, let me teach you how to play it there, partner. And then they show you, and it's like, here, I'll even give you a piece, so now you can try to beat me. But I'm the goodest one that ever was in this town. And then you beat them. Well, dang it, I can't believe you're pretty good. I'll give you another piece. And then you go in search of every player of this same game for pieces.
Gotcha.
So this game has I cannot remember, Infiltrator. For some reason is sounding right, but maybe that doesn't sound right.
Like a class, or?
No, I'm trying to remember the name of the game. Something like that.
Oh, another game.
Okay, so what it is, it's just the one game. There's a board, looks like a chessboard, or can look like a chessboard. So the first one you come into contact with, it looks like it has little grass pieces on it. But then that's where you learn that on other boards there can be like little rock pieces and little mountain pieces or marsh pieces, water pieces. So
so like complications.
Yeah, like little
devastations or
it could be something to benefit your character, perhaps. So each little block represents a land mass of sorts, whether it be just plain grass, mountaintops, hilltops, marshlands, yada yada yada. Okay? So every player has this special board that they have. Oh, I love it, and they've got about 3 or whatever.
Sure.
And then they've got their, chess pieces, and each chess piece, and I say chess pieces because I don't know what else to really compare them to. They're essentially the machines,
the pawns.
Yeah.
That
So
you're moving around the board.
You have 10 play points in which you work with. You select your army of machines, and depending on how many play points you use, or however many play points the machine you're acquiring or bringing into battle requires, means however many you might have on the board. You may have 4, you may have 7. It just depends, because each piece requires a different number. The stronger the piece, the more points you get, and you understand how that works. So that's where you got to add your strategy in with this game, because some creatures can get hit from the front and it doesn't hurt them because that's where their shield's at. But then you look around on the side or the back and they've got a little red mark, and that's their weak point. And then you got to come up around them and you got to knock them from behind.
Sure.
And then if they're on a mountain, and you're down here, you're not going to hit them because they're all the way up there. But then
they can jump on you.
They can hurt you twice as bad because they're up there. And if you've got something that's stronger because it's on the mountain, like a charger or something like that, well then see, they're gonna obliterate you. So it's a strategy game where you gotta play just right and so. Well,
eventually Sony will release it on its own.
Sure.
Then you can just play that.
I had a little fun with it, but I also with certain other games like Gwent or Orlog and I think it was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I wanted to play those. I came across somebody the other day and I was like, I'll come back. Like I just wasn't excited to play it. You know what I mean? So that might speak volumes to that game, or maybe I just wasn't feeling it in the moment. But I was usually excited to play these games with the people, and this one wasn't necessarily dragging me in. So,
well, maybe you got to find more of the big boy pieces or big girl pieces
perhaps.
Or big person pieces, and
I won't say
it gets more fun when you start owning.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say that I did bad, but it's not. It's a little.
It's a game that's there.
Yeah,
and an option.
It's not complicated, but it's frustrating. Can be, I guess. Anyway, doesn't matter. If you're into the side quest stuff, there's so much of it. Although
Sounds like
will be locked behind certain things until you get farther into the game. I'm still trying to find. I know I've seen it in the trailers where she's wearing some sort of oxygen apparatus, swimming. Because swimming is not something I can do right now. As soon as I go down, she's like, whoa, whoa. And I was like, no, you just went down. What are you doing?
You should at least have 30 seconds, woman. Let's go.
Yeah. Like, I drowned at least twice trying to get to something.
You just ran across this entire area, and you're not even huffing and puffing, but you can't die for 30 seconds.
Right. It was just like, my God. So.
The way games treat water.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, so hopefully I'll find that soon because I really want to be able to swim and explore in the water areas.
And that's new, right? Or could you swim in the first one?
I don't remember swimming in the first one. I really don't. Like, I don't even feel like there were really a lot of areas. I know there were creeks. There may have been bodies of water. But I don't feel like swimming was it wasn't a large portion of the game. So even if there were large pools of water, I don't feel like they made an effort to put you in it. Like, they weren't just like, you've got to go swim in this water. You know, it was just like, yeah, it's there. If you want to go touch it, sure. Maybe
go play around.
Yeah, maybe there's a swim mechanic and you could mess around with it, but it was just like, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Here, it's all over. So, yeah. There was even a quest that I had to do that required me to go down under a cave and through to come back out the other side. And I remembered my previous encounter with oxygen, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, I was like, well, maybe... And this was a side quest, mind you, so that's why I was like, they're not going to put me in the side quest and expect me to do this if they're not going to give me the right tools, so I'm not going to have to come back. Luckily, I got through it barely, and I was like, okay, well, seriously, why I need something to breathe underwater? But I'm assuming it will be one of those things that you get in a main quest.
Probably.
Like there was another part of the main quest. I kept coming across these flowers, which I remember these from the other game. I'm almost positive. I don't remember what they were called. Fire, ignite flowers, or I don't remember. I didn't write shit down. Anyway, but they were areas that were blocked off. You activate them, and then they explode, and then you find treasures behind it. There's also metal flowers. Yeah. I remember the metal flowers. I've come across tons of them, but again, I can't do anything because I'm sure story-wise it will have to come into play.
Sure, yeah.
So I'll have to worry about that there. So, familiarity. If you remember the first game, you're getting more of that.
Okay.
Voice acting, I'll give some praise to the voice acting. It's top-notch. Acting is top-notch.
She's been getting lots of praise, too, from
she's
all over.
Yeah, she's a great... I wouldn't even say just a great voice actor. She's a great actor in general. You know, I've gotten to see her.
I think that people need to remember that's still acting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're still going through the same amount of emotions if a camera was pointed at them. Mm-hmm. That's why it sounds real.
Yeah. So she's doing Ashley Birch. I don't even know if I even said her name. No, she does a phenomenal job. She's really owning it here. More than she had to in the other one, I might say. Which I don't want to say too much in the way.
Oh, just story stuff stretched her a little bit more this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I'll just say that as far as that goes. Lance Reddick, I don't know if anyone knows him by name. You've probably seen him in stuff like John Wick and
probably
a few other movies. He was the character Silence, who was also in Part 1. And his character continues on in this game. Of course, I'm trying to this is one of those spoiler things because I think there's some of our siblings out there playing the original for the first time now, so I don't want to say too much.
Ooh. So
his character arc, where it goes here, it's continuing in this game, and all for the better. I'm kind of glad that they didn't sideline him or anything like that. And I appreciate that. And he is a nuanced character if there ever was one. You know, like I don't know how to feel about this character. And I'm, again, not trying to spoil anything, but it's just, I don't know how to feel about him.
It's played well then.
Yeah.
You're still on the fence about where they are.
Like, sinister sons of bitches are good people, and I don't know where his loyalties lie.
Yeah,
I really
maybe
don't.
He doesn't know yet in your game either. I don't know. Interesting.
But as far as those actors go, there are actually two very, very famous actors. No, not to knock on Birch and Reddick there, but two better-known actresses in this game that might have just slipped by because they didn't... Yeah, normally when you get a big actor for a game like Keanu Reeves...
That's what you're using to sell it, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, look what we got. We got Keanu.
Look,
whoa.
Legitimize us.
Yeah, well, they got Carrie Ann Moss. If we're going to go for some Matrix,
I want to say I kind of heard something about that, and then it totally just left my brain. I must not have dove into it anymore, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really put her in the forefront.
Look at her getting into both, too. Look at those two.
And she was special. Just... I got to see her. She was in a cutscene for this, and her character...
Oh, they model it after her, too?
Oh, yeah.
The character? Oh, okay.
Which, again, that's one of the cool things is when the characters look like the actors, I think. Granted, I don't really feel like Ashley Birch looks like Aloy, but...
You know what? To be honest, I've never done a huge dive because I know there's been the controversy, blah, 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 and I've just not read into it because it's not real news.
I know.
Just whatever. It has no bearing on how good the game actually is.
No, it doesn't. But, I mean, that's why I'm not knocking that. I find it funny that all these other character models...
I'll have to look at her IRL picture.
I don't think it looks like her, but, I mean, that's...
It doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Yeah, I'm not saying it needed to. And maybe that's part of the point because... I mean this with all respect. Ashley Birch is a beautiful woman, and maybe Aloy is not meant to look.
Maybe she was too beautiful for somebody who'd be out living a rougher life, beaten by the sun all the time. Yeah.
So maybe that might have something to do with it, which I'll get into that in a minute because I got some shit to say about that too. But Carrie Ann Moss, the character she plays, don't want to give it away because I feel like they're opening up a door that I have yet to explore fully. And understanding who she is or the people she is with are. Conversely, another big name actress, Angela Bassett, is in the game. You wouldn't have caught her initially, and it took me a second, but she plays... cannot remember her character name. Like I read it this morning, it was like, okay. But she's like the head of one of these tribes that you're coming across in the Forbidden West.
Regala,
yeah.
Or Regala, however you say it. Okay.
Yeah. So she's like the head of this tribe, and one of the first times you come into contact with her is pretty much like a war's being thrown down. Like I'm walking up to this group, and it was like, hey, everybody cool, and then she just shows up and is like, kill them, and it's like, whoa, chill. What are you?
They just got here.
Yeah. So, obviously, they needed somebody with some gravitas, someone who could really beef up the. She owned the scene.
More perfect person, yeah.
And I can't. I'm excited to see more of her in the game. So
good.
I know she's going to be a huge part in the story going forward from where I'm at. So I can't wait to see more of her. But. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. Music?
Just let you know. It's almost 2 hours.
I know.
I don't know how much more.
No, I'm eyeballing it. I don't want to drag it on a little bit more.
These poor people.
The music in the game, it's very subtle in the sense that I couldn't tell you what I've heard.
You know what, though? I appreciate that. It should be more adding to and not distracting from.
Yeah. Again,
so that means it was done well then.
Right.
In my opinion.
It's not... I don't want to say it's unmemorable, but it's not memorable. Like I don't remember...
It didn't distract you from what was going on.
No, exactly. So it's like you said, it just filtered into everything going on, complemented. And again, that's not a knock on... It's composed well enough that it just blends in with everything going on. So I probably heard the music and just don't realize it.
It created the ambiance and you went into it.
Right.
Yeah, good.
But finally, one thing I want to talk about real quick, and then I'm going to wrap it all up. Did you happen to see Jim Sterling's video Monday talking about this game and the complaints?
Yeah, kind of. Like I said, I've been kind of turning that stuff off because it's so juvenile and dumb that I just don't even want to put it into my brain. It has no bearing on how good the game is.
I agree. I agree. I mean, the fact that he said that,
I almost don't even want to give them the airtime for coming up with something so stupid to create a controversy over.
Well, he tore them apart pretty magnificently in my book. The fact that they complained that Aloy had a beard, which, hey, you got peach fuzz on your face?
I mean, we all do.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's what it is.
To disillusion all the men out there who haven't seen a lot of women, but we do. We have hair everywhere you do.
That's pretty much what it boils down to. Like, there's been once or twice that I've actually, like, the light has hit her face a certain way where you can see the peach fuzz. And
so very detailed then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
That they took that extra effort because they didn't have to, but
Sure,
you did.
yeah.
You made her look like a normal woman. And
like a person. Yeah.
and the fact that they're losing their minds over such a thing just proves, like you said, women got peach fuzz. You know?
We got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff that I don't know what you're imbibing that makes you think that that's incorrect. But.
If you don't know that, then that means you've not been near a woman. You know? To notice.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
Sorry about it.
Yeah.
Hate to break it to you. We poop too.
That was another thing he pointed out too. just pointing that out. It's like, you know, they shit and everything as well.
Yeah.
You know,
we
just
fart even.
think about that.
It just happens. Yeah.
But
I know.
but see, now you're destroying that illusion of this woman who does no such things.
Right.
Who doesn't
True.
poo and stink and has no facial hair. Or
I just
anything
glow.
else.
I never sweat. I just
And then to top it all off, there was, if you've not seen it, I recommend you go look it up. The fan-made Aloy picture.
Oh, where they put like a bunch of makeup on her
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
They
I saw
can-
that the first go-round that people got mad about.
That was
her
so
not being
stupid. That
hot
was
or
just
something.
freaking ridiculous, considering you clearly are not paying attention to this game and anything going on, because no woman would look like that in the wild.
Well, we've been fighting that for a long time. Like, even in action movies, do you think that women are really going to be running around in their high heels and all this kind of stuff? Like, no.
Yeah.
Good God, no. We'd be putting on flats, and why would we put on makeup? We're going to be running. We're going to be sweating. We're going to be, like, why would we? We're going to put our hair in a ponytail. We're going to go.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you would.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Jesus Christ. Sometimes we don't care if you want to look at us.
What?
I know.
What?
Sometimes when we walk outside, it's because we have other things to do than for you to have something pretty to look at.
What?
It's hard to believe.
The whole world is shattered. Anyway, the last things I want to touch on, the game, and I kind of mentioned it up top, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here. The game could use a patch.
Okay.
There are some issues that I've seen that remind me of some really common PlayStation 4 issues with games that are AAA. Got a few frame rate issues that happen every now and again. Characters dropping in and out of scenes. Have you ever seen that one? Where,
I mean, on other games.
like,
yeah.
you'll just be
Do
walking.
they look like they're trying to clip.
Or maybe you'll just be looking in the background and someone just shows up and you're like, where the fuck did he come from? You know?
Like he just finally loaded in.
Or there was even a character, I think I was talking to someone, and like they camera cut back to the character I was talking to, and someone looked like they just stopped running, like, and I was like, what happened? Where's the fire? And it was just, he looked around and he went walking back, and I was like, I don't know what happened. But it was just little things like that. It's like
Sure.
weirdness, awkward transitions.
Not acting appropriately.
Yeah. We've had those awkward transitions. I'm sure you've seen this before, where you're in a cut scene and it cuts from one scene to another, but somewhere there just happened to be a frame or two that looked off, or maybe it cuts to a scene and it looks like everything just kind of dropped real fast.
Right.
And I'm just like, what is going on here? Little things like that. It's just weird and awkward, and you're just like, I thought this was supposed to be a super polished, massive game. Todd actually accused me of playing the PlayStation 4 version. I was like, dude, I'm not stupid. I know how to play the 5. Thinking like the 5 was going to be better or not have all these issues. Like, no, I'm playing the 5. This is still happening.
Yeah.
I even had, and this was probably one of the more aggravating aspects, unresponsive controls as I'm trying to climb. Because in this game, there's a lot of climbing, like Uncharted, and you can climb walls. Even though some have argued, and I think I would kind of agree with this to a degree. In the day and age of Breath of the Wild, why can't we just climb everything?
Sure.
But
you got to program it, know.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, minor little gripe, but whatever. But I can see the marks on the rocks that tell me where I can jump to.
Okay.
And she's hanging there. And I see, it's like, up right there. That's where you go. Go. Mm-hmm. Go. And she's not moving. I'm like, bitch, jump. Go. And I get aggravated because I just don't
do what I say.
Yeah, I don't understand why she is not moving and even jumping. Like, I'm trying every button, and it takes me to hit the drop button for anything to happen. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to readjust how I climb this rock or this mountain. And I don't understand what's going on. Like, you can't tell me I'm screwing this up because I see the mark on the wall. Yeah. I see that I can climb there. That's what you're telling me.
So but you're telling me I can't. Did they mess up marking the wall, or is there something invisible blocking it that...
Well, genuinely, I almost think that there is something possibly marking stuff wrong, because I have found treasures or plants, things in a wall, in a underground areas that you just can't get to, but they're there. And I'm like, well, shoot, that would be nice to get, but I can't get to it.
Probably wasn't supposed to spawn there.
Right.
Yeah.
So something's telling me there's a lot of issues like that. So that could be what I'm experiencing. It's just the wall is not marked correctly or
maybe
something to that effect. I don't know that for certain. So the game really needs a patch.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, the game needs a patch. Maybe they're working on one. Of course, everyone's like, well, they did the day one. Yeah, but this didn't fix anything.
Your day one, give me a break. The day one is your game, people. Yeah. Sorry to break your... and I'm sure most people actually are aware of that. When you're taking up the physical copy, you're not getting the whole game.
No.
There's no reason why it should have a patch as soon as you put it in there if all of the game was there.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, I'm loving the game. I haven't decided that I'm done with it, that I don't want to play it. But I got to admit, I'm a little disappointed in what I've been given, because I don't feel like I've been given a game that was an improvement over the original, but more of an expansion of it. You know what I mean?
Which would have been fine had it been maybe sold that way. Like,
right,
we're continuing her story or the story.
And the map is massive. I mean, it's a massive game. I mean, I've barely scratched the surface of all the areas I can go. But again, it doesn't feel like an improved game. It feels
just
like
more
of that game.
Got it.
And again, I'll still play it. If you're a fan,
and probably enjoy it.
Yeah. If you're a fan of it, I would recommend it. But if the first game didn't catch you, I don't see this one doing any more to sell you on it, because I have heard, like we mentioned Troidal up top, he was talking about combat, and I think he was talking about that on Twitter, where he couldn't quite grasp the concept of the combat in the original game, which I get. It's not hack and slash, it's not really stealth. It's very different situations for different creatures and different scenarios, you know. If I can go in there and take a machine down without ever having to swing my staff, that's what I'm going to do. But sometimes it's not going to work out like that, and you get overwhelmed quick, you know? And that may not just be what people want. I like a good hack and slash if I can get in there and really tear some stuff up, and I don't have to be methodical. Here, I feel like being methodical, being aware of your surroundings, having plenty of weapons at your disposal that you can choose from. They might not all work, but something will work for one or another. And you just got to plan your attack strategy. That's what I would recommend. But
that's probably more for role playing, though, too. Because when you're in your certain area, like, you would have to look at what can I use? What's at my disposal right now?
So, what I get, I wouldn't give this game a perfect score, but it's not a bad game. Just wish it was better.
Just don't look for anything groundbreaking on the moving.
Right.
What they did already. All right.
I have just committed sacrilege because I didn't give a PlayStation game a perfect score. Oh my god.
Oh no.
I didn't even give it a score. I just said,
Yeah. So it sounds like if you loved the first one and enjoyed it, you'll get more of that and fair, and you'll probably enjoy it. But nothing groundbreaking or new, improving upon the first one.
Right.
Either way, not a full bust.
Yeah.
Just I guess now it depends on if you feel like buying it right away or waiting for a sale then.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell people to go for a sale, but I'm the world's worst about it. So if you're thinking about it for a sale, go for a sale. Go for a sale. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I tend to if I can, just because everything's so damn expensive, and I just spent all of my money.
And there's already plenty of games to play already, so finish what you got. Come back around to it when you can get it at a discount. Ain't gonna hurt you none.
None at all. Well, excellent. Well, there you go. I think that's our show.
Mm-hmm.
We've got you a nice full long one today, siblings. If you're still here, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
We bullshitted way too long at the beginning. I apologize.
Really
I couldn't help it. I had a lot to say.
I don't think we're anything new for these people now. They're just, they know what they're getting.
And I didn't even say all the things I wanted to say. So,
Well, you know what? We might do it next week.
Maybe.
But that's our show. You, of course, can hit us up sometime on Twitter at Super Mega Crash. You can also go to Instagram to view the weekly icon art Steven puts time and love into. You can send us an email to supermegacrash@gmail.com. Don't forget those hashtag Ask Dava questions that you could be throwing our way as well. And you could learn something new via the way of our Ask Dava. You can also support the show by going to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions and even youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. Don't forget you can like and leave your reviews on your favorite platform for Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. That helps us out immensely, and we love reading them. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'm Lacey Finley.
I am Stephen White.
And you can join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then,
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.